Today we will be looking at the construction of the Mulberry Harbour, starting with the breakwaters. And to begin, here is an aerial photograph of Mulberry B, the British section at Arromanches. The main sections of the harbour are the breakwaters, the roadways, the pierheads and the pontoon supports. Due to the time constraints, the structural work was contracted out to different companies, a great many of which were in Scotland. With a timescale of less than 12 months for all tests, prototypes and construction to be carried out, every available man, dock and material that could be used was vital. The breakwaters were a necessary part of the harbour and were a three-part construction. First, there were block ships, the responsibility of the Admiralty. These were given the code word Gooseberry. Apart from finding enough ships that could be sunk to form the breakwater, this was a relatively easy part of the harbours. They were sunk using explosives, which happened whilst under fire from German artillery, and gave the German forces the impression that their artillery was better than it actually was. Altogether, there were 5.5 miles of ships used. Secondly, there were the bombardons. These were floating breakwaters, used to reduce the waves, and again were the responsibility of the Admiralty. A prototype was made out of rubber, 200 feet long and 20 feet in diameter, but it was decided that it would be too vulnerable to air attacks and mines. The bombardon itself was therefore made from steel and concrete in a cruciform cross-section. Each unit was 200 feet long and 25 feet wide, and when afloat weighed 2,000 tons. The top fin was enclosed and contained the air, which would ensure the structure floated. The other three were open and filled with water. They were moored with anchors at each end and connected by rope to the next, with a 50-foot gap in between. This was to ensure the bombardons did not damage each other if the seas became rough. As they were used in summer, it was felt that this would be adequate. But in case the weather did change, one of the mooring ropes on each bombardon was designed to break. Each harbour was given 1 mile of bombardon breakwater, and this was placed 1 mile seaward of the main harbour, giving additional protection for the main harbour, and also providing a safe port for the larger Liberty ships, which could not fit into the main Mulberry space. A rejected option for the breakwater was to run a pipeline along the seabed and pump out air, forming a curtain of bubbles which would act as a breakwater. Although this was successfully used in rivers, in the open sea it was not as effective and was rejected in favour of the bombardons.